It's a small rematch from a little game that was played a few months ago.
Yes, it's nobody. When did they play? Where was it? Oh yeah, the Super Bowl. That's right. Yeah, nobody's talking about it. Not at all. Nope. Yeah, there's a lot of hype around this game. It's gonna be fun. It'd be fun to see these two teams match up again. I'm interested to see how the Falcons come in. They've lost 2 straight, but obviously I would think that they would have a little bit of anger behind them, but we'll see.
I'm sure I didn't hear anything from Tom Brady this week. Maybe you did, but I'm sure his standard line is, we're not the same team, they're not the same team, blah, blah, blah.
Brady actually speaks today. He's postponed his press conference twice. So
okay.
Okay.
Did Belichick say that?
What's that?
Did Belichick say that? We're not the same team, they're not the same team?
Yeah, I think he deflected a little bit. I think it was funny to hear Gronk. Gronk spoke on Wednesday, and he's been saying this a lot, but he did, specifically right at the beginning of the press conference. I want to say it was Mike Reese that asked him about this game when he said, we have specific instruction. We cannot talk about that game this week, so I can't talk about it.
That's
okay,
pretty good.
Okay,
all right, we won't bug you. It's okay. We get it. Okay.
So, first, I think if I'm coaching the Falcons, the first thing I'm thinking this week is we have to find an answer for James White, because he smoked us. He killed us in that Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, I would think that the Patriots, that's a good point. I would think that the Patriots would go to the backfield, to their small and quick running backs, James White, Dion Lewis. Those are guys I think that would stick out in this game. Maybe a Rex Burkhead gets more involved again. And I think the Patriots looked at what happened in the Super Bowl, and I truly believe Bill Belichick looked at what happened in the first 3 quarters and said, man, that team was fast that we were playing. And that's why he added a guy like a Brandon Cooks, because he said the NFL, especially in the NFC, is getting faster. So we need to add faster guys. So I think you're going to rely on your quickness this week to try to move down the field. It's a good point. I think the Falcons are going to look at that and say, we got to stop the guys coming out of the backfield and stop the speed of the Patriots show.
How do you feel about the defense against this Falcons offense?
Not as good as probably you felt going into the Super Bowl, but listen, it was 28-3 at one point. So, and I think we all know what happened after that. There's T-shirts. They've been selling them for 7 months. So hopefully, they come around. I think the concern is, again, though, Stephon Gilmore hasn't practiced this week, and Eric Rowe too. So you may be down 2 corners again. And against the Jets, it's one thing. Against the Falcons, it's a little bit tougher, especially when you have a guy like Julio Jones that's one of, if not the best receiver in the league, and Matt Ryan, who can put up yards. He's no slouch. So that's the concern going in, is that you may be missing 2 corners again. And when you have Johnson Batamosi, no offense to Johnson Batamosi, but he's not one of your starting corners, not even one of your reserve corners right away. So that's the aspect that does concern me there.
Speaking of health, it was really good to see Gronk back to his normal self last weekend.
Yeah, looks good. He looks good. Big part of why they beat the Jets. It was by the skin of their teeth, obviously, but having Gronk out there, having a healthy Gronk is something that Brady could use, especially when you don't have Julian Edelman. Tom Brady's got to rely on somebody, and if it's Rob Gronkowski, a healthy Rob Gronkowski, that's always a nice thing to have on the field, because he's a force and he's tough to stop, and he's a guy that didn't play in that Super Bowl in February too. So
that's right. Forget about that. That's right.
Falcons are going to have to look at.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, the end of that Jets game, I still don't see it. I still don't get it. That replay. What are they seeing? That was a fumble. I just don't get it.
I've been saying this, I think, all week. I get it because the ball knocked loose for a second. It was still sort of in his possession. I think, Michael, I think if the ball didn't switch arms going over the goal line, I think that the call would have stood as a touchdown. But the fact that it was popped loose for just that split second, and then the ball was moving around as he was going over the goal line, I think that's why they They ruled it a fumble, and they ruled it a touchback. And what I've been saying to Jets fans all week is it stinks. I think it stinks. If we were Patriots fans around here,
I'd be
we were
outraged.
saying if the same thing happened, they would be wanted to tar and feather the referees in public square. It's like that would be awful. But it's one of those. The rule is the rule. I get the letter of the law. I'd say hate the rule.
Indisputable
call.
Indisputable evidence. You saw that? Indisputable evidence.
You could see the ball get popped loose, and that's why there was question there. It's tough. I think the referees, they made a decent call again, but the rule really, it's one of those things. I think they're going to look in the off season and say, yeah, we should probably change the rules.
Yeah.
That kind of stinks.
All right, who wins on Sunday?
I say Pats. I say the Pats win. I think it's going to be another tough one. Could be a shootout sort of game, but I think the Pats at home, well prepared. I think they'll come out and I think they'll beat the Falcons again. And I think you're right, Michael. I think it might be a nice night for James White.
All right, there it is. It's our Patriots preview brought to you by Barrett's Ale House and Game Room. Nick Coit, sports director at ABC6. Thank you so much, man. Have a great weekend.
And you too, guys. Enjoy the game, and hopefully you can stay up as maybe for like the first half.
Yeah, we'll see.
Thanks, Nick.
Nick.
We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks.
Fun 107.
Thanks, guys.